Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from DeltiasGaming.com, and we are going over one Tamriel patch notes, what I think about it, how it's going to impact the game, and what's going to be changing in Elder Scrolls Online 2.6. Two things to remember, and one is I will link the description of these patch notes, and number two, that all this information is subject to change. Remember, it's on the public test server, so usually there's 1, 2, 3, sometimes even 4 updates before the information goes live, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so I've been playing last night a little bit, probably about 5-6 hours, kind of going through all the gear sets, looking at what's new, and really the first big changes are listed here. So what this offers is dueling. Like I have my video, you can preview it. I'll link in the description as well. Essentially, you can duel with any person in any faction. One Tamriel combines everything. So no more will you be instance based on your faction in, let's say, Craglorn or Glenumbra or something like that. Everyone's going to be the same. That's really good for players that are new and looking to enjoy the game, but it's not always going to be the greatest when you're farming nodes and trying to get, iron ore and whatnot. Up in Ultimates, I'm going to do a separate video on this. I've tested them. I don't think they're that game changing. There's about 1 or 2 specifically that are really going to change the game, specifically the sword and board reflect, which I'm very disappointed in. I wish there was an AoE taunt, so we'll have some more information on that once I do a little more testing. Champion points updating just a little bit, so not significant. I think they're going to do a champion point overhaul because at the end, if we're all at 3600 CP, the game will just be completely unbalanced and it'll just be a nut show. So hopefully they rework the champion points so we have a nice progression system over 10 years or whatever the life cycle of the game is, but not make it so that we're just completely overpowered. New daily quest, Craglorn has been rebalanced. We went in Craglorn to test some ultimates, and the new content is actually pretty cool. They reworked a lot of the enemies in the quest, so they're a lot harder than they used to be. You can't just go solo YOLO and Spellscar anymore and just whip through everything. So if you like the Craglorn instance, I don't know how much incentive there is to do it still, but you still have some more dailies that you can do. New monster max, really cool. Some interesting ones for healers specifically, even a tank one, though I don't know how much the meta will shift for DPS. I really think the meta is kind of set in stone for stamina and magic builds. Falcon Scoria got a buff, so we're going to need to be testing that. But the new monster helms look really cool, some really interesting effects, though I don't know how game-changing they will be after we test them all. Gear sets. Wow, there is a lot. So if you have their new overland sets, you have the new dungeon sets, and you have new monster mass. Essentially 47 new items to collect. Now, like I said, there's probably 5 of 47 that are truly, really remarkable in value, which means all that old stuff that you collected is still going to be really valuable. What this does is offer a lot more diversity because the item sets will be dropping in rings and jewelry, like the overland sets and the dungeons. So you can combine them with previous sets to make it a really cool, interesting build. I kind of like it to Magic the Gathering. When a new set comes out, you kind of have to look at the old sets and see how these new pieces of gear will affect them. Will it completely change the game? I don't think so, but it'll make things a lot more diverse and give you some more flavor to your builds. Housing update. This is probably what I've been looking forward to the most besides Battleground and Arenas in this game. Now, it's not coming in this patch, but they are preparing some of the content which is coming next. Dungeons got a revamp. What they did is they added veteran modes to all the previous dungeons that didn't have them, like Dire Frost Keep and so forth, along with the monster helms at the end of the boss. They also redesigned the Undaunted pledge system, which is really nice. So save them Undaunted keys if you want to get some of those new sets. Dungeons now have a normal and veteran mode, and monster masses will drop 100% of the time on the final boss and veteran. The pledge key system, which are a little bit different, we're going to explain that, but overall there's just a lot more to do if you're looking for the dungeon crawling. Personally, I don't like the dungeons the way they were. Now, this is going to add a lot of flavor and really bring me back to PvE, making some of those guides, doing the dungeons. Because, I've done the Undaunted pledges 300 times. It's just not that much fun. But now having this many more dungeons in here, it'll make it pretty cool. Okay, so the Undaunted pledge system, if you read here, there is no longer bronze, silver, and gold keys, all converted to Undaunted keys and reward their shoulder piece with each use. So a shoulder piece, there's a huge loot table still. Now, adding these new dungeons and adding these new monster helms means the loot table gets even bigger. Why does that matter? Well, what it means is you're going to have a lot less chance to get the actual shoulder that you want. So hopefully something will be done to remedy that. We can earn more keys now, but hopefully the PvP vendor will sell them or be more frequent, because to get that one specific one you want, I'm going to probably try to save up 200 to 300 keys because I want a specific healer one. Other than that, it's going to be really hard to do it. But it's an MMO, it's a hamster wheel, it's going to keep you playing. If you see here, lastly, there are 3 pledge givers now, not just 2. So you'll have a lot more opportunities to earn more keys. I like that, because you could just farm the helm over and over until you're blue in the face, but you can't get the shoulder. And it needs to be a way to essentially just farm it over and over. Especially for those players that just have one character. Me, I have a million, so I have a likelihood of getting a lot more. I can just sit there and play all day. So it needs to have some way to get the shoulder that you want, or a more likely chance. So you got to earn it still, but it's a nice change. Hard mode dungeon has all been added. So every dungeon has a hard mode mechanic now to it. You complete it, you get 2 keys. So similar to like White Gold Tower and stuff that are the harder dungeons, now every single one can reward that. Remember, there's 3 pledges. You can get 2 keys at the end of some of these. So you'll have a lot more likely chance to get the keys. Nice, but still, it's going to take some time to get that exact one you want with the exact trait, because the loot table is enormous. Some of that's gear. I still like that. Gives you incentive to do it. Essentially what they're doing is making gear easier to obtain. We already have gear trading. You're going to be getting 100% drop chance on monster helms. You see these dungeon bosses mini drop 100% chance to drop a set piece. So it's going to be a lot easier to gear, considering there's just so many sets in this game. There's still about 4 to 5 ones that everyone is going to want to have, depending on your role. But it's just a lot easier to get the specific gear pieces that you want, even though there's a much bigger loot table. Getting the new item sets, I have pictures of every single one. And then I will be doing the Undaunted ones and testing. It's going to take some more time to actually see what they do and how valuable they are in comparison with my characters on live. Template character, respect my champion points, and so on. So I want to make sure I get the information accurate to you guys, so you know if you should be saving those keys. Obviously, overland zones means just like in Glenumbra or East March, doing quests in those areas. Dungeons are obviously the new dungeons. So I have a list of all of that separated out so you can see if you should get it. Achievements. So this is important for some, especially those that start new characters, because leveling your Undaunted is one of the most painful experiences of getting a new character. Same with Fighters Guild. So adding 110 new achievements should make that a lot easier. Haven't tested it, haven't completed any new ones, so I don't know for sure. But I would imagine 5, 10, 20 achievement points for your Undaunted. Doing all those dungeons would be much easier, especially if you want to downscale on a second account and just blow through it to level Undaunted. I like this change because achievements are nice. Now, hopefully they'll come with titles and other things like that, so you can have an incentive to get the really hard ones, and especially the skins that were added last patch. I really like that. Now, the weapon ultimates aren't listed here. I don't know why, but essentially every weapon skill line has an ultimate. Like I said earlier, sword and shield seems to be the most powerful for me. Now, I'll go over each one of them, but it doesn't seem to be shifting the meta in terms of PvE DPS. And when I say that, I'm talking trials, dungeons, and so forth. That can single target is Rend. Gil found out that you can empower this with your Maelstrom staff and get a 16-second ridiculously powerful dot. So we'll still have to wait and see how those weapon ultimates play out. But PvP, there are some new unique ones that are really going to change the game. Personally, I like the two-hander one that makes you immune to CC for a few seconds. So stay tuned for the videos on that. New daily quest, Fighters Guild, Mages Guild, and Undaunted. So a new way to earn rep and get that leveled up faster. But really, Fighters Guild needs a major overhaul. Same with Mages Guild. I think this should be a tie to your account, not just specifically your character, because everyone knows if you try to get Mages books on console, it's a nightmare. Same thing with Fighters Guild. You start a new character, you need Dawnbreaker. It takes 4 or 5 hours of farming zombies just to get that. So I'm disappointed that was not overhauled. Speaking of that, Zos, if you're watching, leveling has been a lot easier compared to last patch to this patch and so on. So what needs to change is the leveling of the skill lines. It's incredibly difficult to think to myself, I can level from 3 to 50 in 5 hours. No, I'm not going to rebuild the grind spots, but I won't have my skill lines maxed. I still will be at sword and shield 40 or two-hander 37. Really need to come in line with this. Making it easier to level those skill lines. It's still ridiculous that I can hit endgame and be unmaxed in my two-hander. Crafting bags, they're going to be doing a change with that, and it's absolutely amazing. The whole purpose, the reason I subscribe on Xbox, PS4, and PC. I gotta have them, I love them. Talked about housing updates. They're going to be changing the terrain, so be aware of that. If you see things that are a little different, that's why. So I think every zone's going to have their own housing thing. I don't know. Maybe I can get a little interview with Zos and get it out to you guys. Now we get to class balancing, and there's really not a whole lot. So Dragon Knight got a little bit of changes, but basically it's just fixing issues. And Templar didn't get the Purified nerf that was supposedly going to happen, which is absolutely insane. I play the overpowered permablock Templar, and I think that meta needs to change. I don't know how to fix it, maybe not allow you to cast when you're blocking, but it's going to be even more powerful, especially with the Sword and Shield ultimate. So I don't know if the next patch is going to have some class balance changes, or the next PTS update and so forth, but little interesting, disappointed that classes didn't get a little rework. Now some gear sets got updated, which I find really interesting. So I'm going to go over just a couple that I found interesting. And Burning Spell Weave. Holy moly. Increase the spell damage granted from the set to 600 spell damage and decrease the cooldown. So that's for using fire effects found in City of Ash. Now it has a cooldown, but 600 spell damage, that burst Dragon Knight in PvP, that's for real. Another interesting set change I want to test out is Powerful Assault. Remove this item set's cooldown of 15 seconds. So does it permanently go on you? Can you spam cast it and give it to everyone in your party? I don't know, but that gives spell damage and weapon damage to people once you use an assault skill. So that might be a game changer. Have to test it. Now the really powerful change for magic builds. It looks like old Valken Scoria is making a comeback. Increase the item set proc to 8% from 6. Increases the flame damage dealt to 9,000 to the primary target and 4k to the other target. Look at that. That's almost, what, 33% more on the upfront damage and the AoE. So that's a big boon to magic builds. Now it's flame damage, but still Stam builds can use this as well. So who knows if that's really going to compete. I need to test it when I'm doing the Undaunted gear, but I'm pretty excited about that. Why they reduced Veladress cooldown, I have no idea. It's already freakishly powerful in PvE and PvP. But yeah, 1 second less. Yay, green poop balls. Downside, if you're using Vicious Ophidian, you can't stack Major Expedition doing a bow dodge roll along with your item set. So super speed going away, probably a good change. Okay, so these are just some of the changes that I went through. So really what One Tamriel is in summary is it's kind of like revitalizing the game. There's a lot more sets, adding a lot more versatility. Everyone is pretty much playing together, whether you like that or not. There's a whole lot more dungeons. The Undaunted has been changed and revamped, adding more champion points and dueling, which is really, really amazing. So testing this, I really like the addition of the weapon ultimates and the more sets and having them drop in specifically jewelry and weapons, adding a lot more flavor to builds. Will this completely change the meta? I don't think so. I still think the old sets and the old skills and characters that you're using are going to be still powerful, which is nice if you collected all that gear prior. Oh, there are going to be some changes, going to be a lot more flavor in your builds, specifically PvP. So I can't wait to see all the new combinations of gear and skills you can do. It's like it's the flowering of this game. I'm really excited for it. But really, I need something deep to sink my teeth into, and hopefully housing satisfies that for me. After housing, I really hope that we can start working more on battlegrounds or PvP arenas. Since dueling's been added, that's going to keep us busy for quite a while. So overall, pretty excited about this patch. I need to keep playing and get some testing out and get out some more builds for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully this gave you an insight into what's going on with Elder Scrolls Tamriel or One Tamriel. Subscribe, like, and share, and we'll see you next time for Weapon Ultimates and Undaunted testing. It's finally getting added to the Elder Scrolls Online. This footage is from Elder Scrolls 2.6, currently public test server or One Tamriel. It's very easy to get started with dueling. Simply use your interact wheel to another player, and it's nice because you can do it in any faction. Remember, all factions will be combined in one huge Tamriel. You'll get a pop-up if you're the person that got the duel